When you're on the way, the Holy Spirit is the wind, and if you pay attention to the weather vane, it can be a physical thing like a sign or confirmation, it can be a dream, it can be anything. The way the Holy Spirit speaks is the weather vane. The way God speaks to us, the many ways in which God communicates to us, dreams, visions, audible voices, through other people, through social media, prophets, whatever, is the weather vane. They're being guided by the wind, and they're navigating which way the wind is going, which is the way you're supposed to go. Why is this important? I just posted this on my X account of today itself, and today is the 25th of February. Satan loves deception, but we tend to think of deception as a very big extreme, right? The priests that are LGBTQ, Christians tend to think that that is an overly extreme deception of God, right? That is a deception, or well, not of God, but slightly a big deception of how God allows us to live in sin. But it is a bigger deception that Satan has set across us, right, and put before us. That is a very big extreme. Yes, I'm not denying the fact that that's deception, but like I said, you can be baptized and still be a dud spiritually, or you can be not baptized and have an exceptional relationship with God. Either which way, that person needs to be baptized. Absolutely, I agree. Bless you. Bless you again. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But what I'm talking about, the person sneezed if you didn't hear that. But what I'm talking about is, in a main essence, you see the disparity, right? What we tend to think is an extreme of what is bad, the person not being baptized, but having an exceptional relationship with God. That's what we deem as wrong in a religious sense. And the person who's baptized in a complete dud and not following God, doesn't talk to God, doesn't do anything in his spiritual life, is an outstanding member of the church. That's the disparity that doesn't make sense. Why? Because deception, the subtler it is, the more profound it is, the more powerful it is. Forgeries have to be as possible as the real thing. When you see a counterfeit bill, it has to look so real that it can pass in a store as the real currency. Correct? If Benjamin Franklin looks like a caricature or a cartoon, if he looks like Daffy or Mickey Mouse, the bill is not going to pass. He has to look like Benjamin Franklin, down to the last details that they put in the note. That's why bills have such a very degree of detail that you'll be able to know. Hidden details, hidden truths that the Holy Spirit is supposed to reveal to you, that you'll be able to know that this is the real thing. So, back to the wind. The wind is the Holy Spirit, and the weather vane guides you in the course that the Holy Spirit is trying to lead you towards. He, as the Spirit of truth, is going to lead you into all truth. He is going to reveal all truth to you. Why? He will reveal the truth to you, but you still need to be guided into that truth. Why? Your walk with God requires an immense amount of navigation, and the Holy Spirit helps with that. That whole verse is talking about being able to navigate truth. What did I just say about counterfeits? He creates a counterfeit Christianity which is possible as truth, as the real thing, as the true thing. That is a bigger deception than worrying about LGBTQ pastors and priests and all that stuff. Forget the drag shows in church. We all know that shouldn't be your worried state. You should be worried about how subtle the deception is in church, in the minor ways where you believe you're walking with Jesus. He's the way, right? I am the way, the truth, and the life, right? He is the way of truth. He is the life of truth. He is the way of life, and He is the way of life of truth. All interconnected. But Satan loves to have paths that look, or ways that look very similar to Jesus. Satan masquerades as an angel of the light. That's his biggest deception. He wants to pass as the real thing. He wants to be as possible as the real thing because he can deviate you. His path will look like it's leading to the same destination. His ways will look like they're leading to the same destination. His way will look exactly like the way, almost exactly like the way that Jesus' way looks. The way that Jesus is. It will almost look the same. That's why you need discernment, and it doesn't come from the Bible. I'll tell you why. Because the Bible has been mistranslated, the Bible has been misinterpreted, and theology has its multiple flaws that have resulted in Christians that don't believe the way they're meant to. Lack of the Holy Spirit, more duality of God. Now do you understand what I'm talking about? This is why we need the Holy Spirit. This is why we've gone to such a far extreme of preaching the duality of God, because we've lost essence of the Holy Spirit that holds everything in a linear balance. And then when that linear balance comes, you have the three-dimensional view, the height, depth, and width of love, which then creates the depth of love that you can immerse yourself in. I was watching something about the 1D world, the 1 dimension, the 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions. But when we become the 4th dimension, we're able to comprehend the all 3 dimensions perfectly. When we integrate ourselves that deeply into the Trinity, we become something like the 4th dimensional creature that can comprehend. Because the way the kid was talking about it, he was very theoretical, but the way it makes sense to me is, he said because we are 3D creatures, like three-dimensional creatures, we can only comprehend 2 dimensions perfectly. But four-dimensional creatures, which would probably be the spirit realm, can comprehend the 3-dimensional perfectly. What I'm talking about is the spirit realm. This all comes down to, is also back down to the thing I was telling you in the beginning, that I was thinking about the speed of light and prayers traveling at the speed of light. That's why passage of time, black holes, everything. Jesus says, be of the world, right? Sorry, not be in the world, but not of the world, right? Why? Because that's exactly what he was. He was in the world, but he was not of the world. That's what he's calling us to be. All of creation is groaning for the revealing of the sons and daughters. When the Holy Spirit can reveal truth to you, he's going to reveal the truth about who you are. And all of creation, the entire cosmos, is supposed to reply to you. If you want it to snow in the middle of July, it's going to snow in the middle of July. Doesn't matter if yesterday it was 110 degrees Fahrenheit, the next day it's going to be -5 and it's going to snow. That is the power that you have. Because Jesus was in the world, but he was of the kingdom and of the Spirit. Of the Spirit, he was on earth, but he was of the Spirit, in the Spirit, and of the kingdom and in the kingdom. He existed on both planes at the same time, in the Spirit and on the earth at the same time. Which is why when you see him do miracles, there is no lag. There is no processing time, like, oh, your request is being processed and then verified. No. He's the Son of God, which means everything he's asking God to happen will happen indefinitely at the same time he asks for it. If he asks for a lame man to be healed by way of telling him, you need to walk up, pick your mat up and walk, it's going to happen. If he says, you need to start seeing, it's going to happen. That is faith. That part of faith requires, like I said, a little bit of irrationality. Because if you're going to justify everything this is why he says you're not supposed to be of the earth, because you're going to try to hyper-rationalize everything, and the spirit realm and faith is not going to make sense. It can't prevail. Because all of that is taking a back seat and logic is going to prevail. It's like, yeah, it could just be the wind. Maybe something I heard on social media, I don't know. It can't be God. That's what hyper-rationalization does. Like when God tries to speak to you through dreams, right? You can say, oh yeah, but I watched this like 5 days ago or 2 years ago. I watched this movie and it must have been on my mind before I went to sleep. No. If you're going to correlate that whole psychological mind game, it's not going to work. Because Holy Spirit is trying to tell you something through that dream. I love this verse in Job. It says when we go down to sleep, when our eyes shut and we go and sleep, God sits beside our bed and He whispers into our ears. That changed my way of thinking about dreams entirely. And psychology went out the window. Oh, it's because of your experiences for the past 5 days. No. Sometimes I've had dreams about snakes and I haven't seen snakes in years. How the heck do I see a snake that's bonded my hands, bound my feet in an infinity loop, and it's eating itself? Psychology can't explain that, but the Holy Spirit is trying to warn me about something. This is why religion and law makes it extremely difficult to be close to God, because if you have religion and law, you're never going to be close to God. You're always going to be at such a safe distance from God to the point where you can't be smitten by Him or smoted by whatever. You can't get attacked by God, but God doesn't want to attack you. Religion and law will tell you that, oh yeah, He's going to kill you. He doesn't like sin. No, that's not true. Simply not true. Why would God do that if He loves you and if He loves you enough to let His Son die for you? Selfless love. He was willing to let Himself go because of His love for you. Why would He want to kill you because of your sin? He became your sin. You have nothing to worry about. Get that out of your mind. If you want to live in a very religious way, you're going to have a very toxic, you have a very toxic culture in church, which basically if you so much as sneeze, you can't do it without catching lawfare in the church. And that is not what Christianity is. That is what the Pharisees were doing with Jesus. Poor man sneezed. Why? Which law did he break? He's sinful. His father was sinful. That's what the church has become now. If that's all you want to do, it's a pick and choose. Instead of, I give you one command that is above all commands. Love one another as you love yourself. You're never going to be able to love yourself if you can't see yourself the way God sees you.